This Chicago native and accomplished actor has made a name for himself in The Five Heartbeats, Dollhouse, The Blacklist, and Billions, and Chirac, just to name a few. His latest project, a new museum for African American performance art, is giving back to the Chicago community. And here to tell us all about it, the very talented and Chicagoan Harry Lennix. Hi, Harry.
Hi, Val. How are you, my dear?
I'm great, my dear. Good to see you. And I forgot loving basketball because my son, who is 13, of course, and my daughter did not grow up in the era, but we've been watching all these kind of old school movies and loving basketball.
Yes, you know, I don't even know how. I think that might be 25 years old now.
I think
but I can
so.
tell you, yeah, well, the Five Heartbeats is 30 years old. We just celebrated at the Tribeca International Film Festival.
Well, I'll tell you what, Harry, every time I flip on the TV, it doesn't matter what show, because I feel like you're on everything right now. And not only that, but you're giving back to Chicago. This is a huge project and something that our city needs so much. So tell Chicagoans about this new museum.
Well, Ryan, thank you. It's so great to see both of you again. I'm glad the world is opening up, and I will be visiting you, I hope, in person very soon.
We hope
so. Yes, well, I have to tell you, I can very proudly announce the launching of the African American Museum for the Performing Arts. And we want this to be something that we can all meet up and celebrate when it opens, we hope, in the fourth quarter of 2022. But our idea really is to have a kind of Carnegie Hall on the south side of Chicago, where we can present the greatest culture that the world, or at least the United States, has ever offered that is original to the United States. Black culture, such as it is, Black music, like all that kind of music from which rock and roll and the kind of theater forms and the dance forms that you see in places like Alvin Ailey, that was started in places like Congo Square, which speaks to the richness of our cultural contribution, is going to be on full display in Bronzeville, we hope very soon. And we want everybody to know about it. So thank you for helping me get the word out.
Of course. I was just getting ready to ask you, where exactly on the south side?
So we have acquired a building which used to be I think it was the Marshall Field stable house, where they would put their horses and the carriages in the old days. The sister theater is the Briar Street Theater on the north side of Chicago. But this is at 44th in Cottage Grove.
Oh,
so
nice.
The exact address, 4343 South Cottage Grove.
I mean, you are really putting this in the south side of Chicago. Harry, what does it mean to you to know, being from Chicago, seeing the headlines about the violence here in Chicago, but knowing that you are doing what you can to bring a bright spot to a side of the city that doesn't always get recognized for that?
Well, Val, you know, I grew up you know, the people who grew up in a kind of era of the 70s and 60s, we had places where we could experience culture. We had places like the Chicago Theater Company, like Kawumba Theater, all these places, the Village Playground. We had a place called The Other Place on 75th, where you could listen to jazz 7 nights a week, 75th Street and King Drive at that time, and those places are gone. And I think when you remove that, when you have a vacuum of culture, things will fill up that vacuum. And those things that fill up the creative power that we have, if we cannot express that power and express those ideas and thoughts and forms, that turns very, very violent frequently. That energy has to be expressed in some way. And so we want to put that back where it belongs, where it was, and restore it to its former glory.
Right. We have talked a lot on this show about how important infrastructure is in these neighborhoods, and you bringing that museum there is going to encourage other businesses around it, and it's going to spread, and that's the whole idea. And the name of it is very special to you too.
Well, you know, AMPA, of course, is a kind of catch-all African American museum for the performing arts, but where it will be housed, at least for the present time, is the Lillian Marcy Center for the Performing Arts. And Lillian was my mother, Lillian Lennix, and Marcy was the great Marcella Gilley. She was the principal of Bass Elementary School, where I had the privilege of being a public school teacher for about 8 years, right there on the south side of Chicago. So these women who encouraged, inspired, gave ambition to, and an example for thousands and thousands of people in Chicago, I thought it was only fitting that we name it after them.
That is amazing. And you know, another thing that's really nice about this is that you're calling it a living museum. You don't want kids to think sometimes when they go to the museum, oh, here we go, going to the museum. What's the difference? Why do you want it to be known as a living museum?
Well, because it's expressing and celebrating the living arts for the most part and telling the story of how people's creative processes flow in a living form, a breathing, in-person space. So we really want to show things like we want people to know what the process is. What's it like to be an actor in the rehearsal? What is it like to create opera? What is it like to create a ballet? How do we inculcate this next generation? How do we pass this on? So we want to be a museum where people can study, be inspired. They can look at things in books and so forth as well, but they can also engage in real time with actors, talk to holograms, step onto the set of, for example, A Raisin in the Sun, which is set in Chicago, and really have a hands-on experience. And I remember when I would go to the Museum of Science and Industry as a boy, I used to love going there as often as I could, because you would get to go into the submarine and you would get to talk in that little tunnel that they had, so it was a real engagement, a real experience, and that's what we want here. We want people to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 300.
All right now.
Right. So you're going to get to learn about past performers. What about live performances happening?
That's where, Ryan, thank you for that. That's where the Lily and Marcy comes in. So AMPA will be the chief programming entity in the Lily and Marcy Center. So they will make sure that there is nonstop programming really from all over the country, that we get to send programming there, they get to send programming to us. And what we really want to do is to give it a first-class facility in the Lily and Marcy Center. There's right now, I don't want to put any theaters down, but a lot of them are old on the South Side. Some of them are not quite ready for prime time. We're going to do a state-of-the-art facility, all the bells and whistles. We're going to capture everything, and with all this great technology that we have. But the world has opened up quite a good deal since these theaters were built, and we want to have a first-class facility.
And speaking of first-class, state-of-the-art and prime time, you have a major kickoff event this weekend with Regina King.
That's right, my dear friend Regina King, my colleague, like you, Val. I've worked with Regina in a movie.
Yes, we have, Harry. Darling.
That's right. But Regina and I were in Ray together. We played boyfriend and girlfriend on 24. She directed me in Insecure, but I am having the pleasure of talking to her on Friday, and we're going to talk about what her process is, how she became this now, very celebrated director, and of course, an Academy Award-winning actress. Yeah. Actor. She is a tremendous talent, and we want people to have a little glimpse into how her creative, brilliant mind works.
Yeah, Harry, thank you so much. We love you, man. And when they do the President Obama biopic, you're the guy.
Well, listen, they might make a movie about me before that time, so.
There you go.
We'll
Then the president could play you, right?
Yes, they should. All right, thanks for joining us. You're welcome on Windy City Live anytime, Harry. Hope to see you in person.
Great to see you, Val, Ryan. Thank you very much.
All right, for more information on the museum and the upcoming event with Harry and Regina King, head to aampamuseum.org.